Welcome to Neuron Cafe. Like, comment, and subscribe for more on neuroscience.
Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens inside you when you take just a single, simple step? We kind of have this habit of thinking about the human body as this rigid, mechanical machine, but honestly, it's much more like a wondrous, deeply interconnected ecosystem. If you can, imagine it almost like this lush, beautifully animated forest straight out of a Studio Ghibli film. A place where invisible neural forces, flowing electrical currents, and physical nature are all just working together in this delicate, breathtaking harmony. Today, we're diving straight into the computational neuromechanics of human locomotion. We're going to uncover the hidden choreography of your brain, your spine, and your muscles that literally allows you to move through the world. Let's get into it.
But hey, before we even take that first step, we need to ask a really fundamental question. How do you stand still without falling over? I mean, it feels like you aren't doing anything at all, right? But from a pure physics perspective, a standing human is essentially an inverted pendulum. Gravity is just constantly, relentlessly pulling you down. To stay upright, your nervous system is actually performing these mind-boggling, lightning-fast calculations. It's comparing sensory feedback to the physical state of your body every single millisecond. Section 1. The Dance of Balance, Microscopic Corrections.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. What feels to you like standing perfectly still is, in reality, this dynamic, completely hidden dance of constant microscopic corrections. Your body is practically never truly still. It's always swaying, evaluating, and correcting itself. And right at the heart of this dance is the cortico-basal ganglia thalamic, or CBGT circuit. Try to picture it as this deep, ancient river winding through our neural forest. It operates using a flowing, continuous neural competition, deciding in real time whether to fire the muscles that pull your toes up, which is dorsiflexion, or the calf muscles that point your toes down, which is plantar flexion.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates a really profound shift in how we understand balance. You'd probably assume the brain uses what's called continuous control, basically a constant, rigid tightening of your muscles to just lock you perfectly in place. But computational models show us that we actually use intermittent control. The brain intentionally introduces a tiny decision time, literally a control-off period. It just lets you micro-fall forward, exploiting the physical limits of your body, and then it kicks in a micro-recovery. It's an absolute marvel of biomechanics. You are quite literally just constantly falling and catching yourself in this microscopic rhythmic dance.
And what's so fascinating here is that this physical dance produces an actual electrical symphony inside your brain. This constant, looping rhythm of catching ourselves from falling creates a very specific, measurable electrical pattern called beta band oscillations. During that little microfall phase we just talked about, we see a desynchronization of these waves. And then during the micro-recovery, boom, they synchronize right back up. These rhythmic beta oscillations are absolutely the hallmark of healthy intermittent motor control.
Section 2. Generating the rhythm. Forward momentum.
All right, so we've mastered the precarious art of standing still. But how do we break that balance to generate an actual step? Think about it. If your brain had to micromanage every single tiny muscle contraction for every single step you take, it would be so incredibly inefficient. Well, enter the central pattern generator, or CPG for short. Located right down in your spinal cord, this circuit acts as a local rhythm conductor. It's kind of like a steady metronome humming away in the undergrowth of our biological forest. Once your brain sends that initial go signal, the CPG just completely takes over the repetitive, rhythmic timing of walking for you.
Now, to test exactly how these spinal circuits function, computational neuroscientists use synthetic nervous systems, like simulated rat hind limbs. And to be clear, this isn't just some abstract math on a whiteboard. It's a fully closed-loop ecosystem. Here, simulated neurons are directly driving a biomechanical leg, complete with virtual muscles and joints. It's pretty wild.
And through these incredibly detailed models, researchers have confirmed that the CPG isn't just one giant block of neurons. It actually has a brilliant two-layer architecture. It separates the rhythm generator, which, as it sounds, sets the fundamental beat of your walk, from the pattern formation layer, which actually tells your specific muscles how much to flex. And this division of labor, it's absolutely crucial. It means if you suddenly need to step a little higher to avoid, say, a rock on the trail, the pattern layer can just adjust the muscle activation without you losing your underlying walking rhythm at all.
Section 3. Physical feedback, biomechanical reality.
But here's the thing. The neural circuitry is really only half the story. The next crucial element of our biological ecosystem is the actual physical reality of flesh, bone, and gravity. Specifically, how they interact when the unexpected happens, like when you inevitably stumble.
Mechanical interactions, like the stretching of elastic tissue, actually occur much faster than sensory information can be processed. Before your sensory nerves can even send a frantic signal up to your spinal cord that you've tripped, the sheer physics of your muscles and tendons are already reacting. The elastic stretching of your tissues provides this instantaneous resistance. These are known as preflexes, and they serve as your body's absolute first line of defense against a fall.
And because our physical mechanics, our mass, our inertia, our elastic tissues, are so naturally robust, they act sort of like the sturdy, grounding roots of an old tree. They actually regularize the brain's electrical signals. Our neural circuits don't actually need perfectly fixed, rigid parameters to achieve stable walking. When neuroscientists run complex computational models on simulated bodies experiencing ground contact, they find that biomechanical entrainment covers up for neural imperfections. Your body's physics and the environment just seamlessly work together in total harmony to keep you moving forward.
Section 4. How the Body Learns. 3 Master Tutors.
Okay, so we know how we balance and we know how we execute a step. But how do we actually acquire and perfect these incredibly complex motor skills in the first place? Well, motor learning requires the interaction of multiple, distinct brain systems. In this complex process, the cortex acts as a mapper, taking vastly complex physical actions and compressing them into simpler blueprints. Then the basal ganglia steps in as the reward seeker, and finally the cerebellum acts as the strict, error-correcting perfectionist.
Let's take a second to contrast those two subcortical powerhouses. The basal ganglia evaluates the actual value of an action using dopaminergic reward prediction errors. It's essentially sitting there asking, hey, did this movement get me the reward I expected? Meanwhile, the cerebellum evaluates the accuracy of an action using sensory error signals. It asks, wait, did my arm actually go exactly where I wanted it to go?
When you learn a new motor skill, you basically go on a journey through these 3 systems. Step 1, your cortex groups similar physical actions together, mapping out the physical space. Step 2, your basal ganglia searches through this mapped space to find and select a highly rewarding policy, basically painting the broad stroke of the correct movement. Step 3, your cerebellum continuously refines and polishes that action based on real-time sensory motor errors. And this 3-step structure is exactly why you can generalize skills so well. Because your cortex groups similar actions, once you learn to balance and walk on grass, you can much more easily adapt to walking on a slippery patch of ice.
Section 5. Neuroecosystem. Harmonious Connections.
Now, for a really long time, researchers just assumed these learning centers were somewhat isolated silos that only really communicated by sending signals all the way back up to the cerebral cortex. But recent anatomical tracing revealed something pretty astonishing. The subthalamic nucleus of the basal ganglia projects directly to the cerebellar cortex in just 2 little neural jumps. And going in reverse, the dentate nucleus of the cerebellum projects straight back to the striatum of the basal ganglia. There is literally a direct, 2-way anatomical street between your reward system and your error correction system, completely bypassing the cerebral cortex.
And I can't overstate this. These direct links change everything. By completely intertwining reward and error correction, the brain creates thousands of microscopic, adjustable processing loops. Picture it like this endless network of glowing roots, constantly communicating beneath the soil of our forest. These loops are continuously programming, regulating, and executing the composite commands of our daily lives. They blend our inherent desire for a reward absolutely seamlessly with the physical precision needed to actually achieve it.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you rise from a chair and take a simple step forward, just pause for a second. Think about this incredibly intricate, hidden ecosystem you carry with you everywhere you go. Think of the intermittent, rhythmic microfalls, the spinal conductors keeping the beat, the instant elastic preflexes of your physical tissues, and those microscopic neural loops perfectly harmonizing reward and precision. What unseen symphony is happening inside you right now? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I truly hope this completely changes how you view every single step you take.